If I'm being honest, this year I was so ready for summer to end and for fall to begin. I love fall baking and being cozy inside just as much as I love being out and about. But now that summer's over, we've got goals to reach, and we don't want to sacrifice those by overdoing it on high calorie treats. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Amanda, aka Fit Food AE, and today we're going to be making 5 high protein, low calorie fall baked goods. They all have around 80 to 100 calories per piece and are super delicious. So let's get started, shall we? So first up, we've got pumpkin muffins for 80 calories each. These are so light and fluffy and sweet and delicious. They are my favorite recipe of this video. Honestly, super easy recipe. Everything's gonna be one bowl. I might use PE Science protein for this recipe and all the ones in this video. You can either use snickerdoodle, vanilla, or pumpkin. And of course, if you wanna use my discount code FIT15, go right ahead. It is a whey casein blend and great for baking. But anyway, you're gonna need a lot of pure pumpkin for all the recipes in this video. I recommend just stocking up on all of the cans at the grocery store. The pure pumpkin gives it that nice orange color, and of course we need to add that light margarine just to make them fluffy and not spongy. So honestly, I don't use cupcake liners a lot of the time. I just put cooking spray and then put the batter straight into the pan, but you could do kind of whatever you want. But yeah, this is basically how they turned out. I put a little bit of drizzle on top. Basically, this drizzle is powdered monk fruit mixed with a tablespoon of cold water, so it's 0 calories, and a sprinkle of monk fruit. You could also do cream cheese frosting. I just wanted to keep these kind of low calorie, and of course, you don't have to put the drizzle on top. It's really sweet and delicious without it. But yeah, these are great for a snack, for breakfast, etc. They are so good for fall. I feel like the issue a lot with muffin recipes that are high protein, low calorie is that they're spongy, and just not very sweet. But obviously adding light margarine, it does add a bit of calories, but you gotta not sacrifice taste and flavor for the calories. Obviously, that's how I always say it. But yeah, I absolutely love fall decor. I had some from a leftover from last year, and then I also went to HomeSense and got some stuff. Even though I'm only gonna be using it for a couple months, it is just so worth every penny. These are so moist, delicious, flavorful, so sweet. I'm obsessed. Pumpkin cinnamon donuts are next. So these kind of taste like those Tiny Tom donuts or whatever, those ones that you get at the fair. They're so good. Also, you don't have to add the vanilla pudding mix. This just makes them more moist. But I know that in the UK and some countries, you guys don't have it. You could also substitute for custard powder as well, or even a little bit of xanthan gum. So I use brown monk fruit sweetener. This is basically a substitute for brown sugar. You can also use just regular stevia or regular monk fruit, or you could use sugar, but I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose, right? But honestly, a lot of these recipes have similar ingredients like oat flour, the pumpkin, the light margarine, but this is just in donut form. So, oh yeah, by the way, you are going to need a silicone donut mold for this recipe. So you get it on Amazon. It's linked in my Amazon store, which is in the description. But yeah, you don't really need to spray it with cooking spray. I don't know why I did that, but I just kind of put the batter into each one in a messy way. And then after that, I just spread it out with the back of a wet spoon. It is going to look a bit messy, but honestly, it's fine. And then you just use some more monk fruit. I sprayed a bit of cooking spray. You can also do almond milk or egg white wash, and then dip it in the monk fruit just so it's nice and sugary. Don't add too much. I would say you don't want it to be too sickly sweet. But yeah, also wait for the donuts to cool before doing this. Otherwise, it's just going to kind of melt off. But yeah, this looks so, so good. I haven't gotten word yet as to when PE Science is releasing their pumpkin protein. I'm pretty sure it's partway through September. I kind of wish I already had it because this would have been great for this recipe. But if you have any pumpkin protein left over from the previous year, feel free to use that. But otherwise, vanilla or snickerdoodle works just fine. I feel like vanilla kind of always works. So next up, we've got pumpkin cinnamon rolls. So this recipe, it makes 5 of them. Honestly, I don't think you would eat 5 in one sitting. They're really, really sweet. But I made them in a mini cast iron skillet, as you can see, because it helps them to spread out kind of in a nice way. But you can also just make them on the pan. It's totally fine. But yeah, these are nice and buttery. Honestly, you could even make the macros a little bit better if you use a bit less light margarine and then maybe combine it with some unsweetened applesauce. But again, we want them to be delicious without sacrificing flavor. We don't want them to be spongy. So yeah, they look nice and pumpkin-y with the pure pumpkin. And then to make the filling, you're going to mix a little bit of cinnamon, brown monk fruit, and the light margarine. And then yeah, this basically mimics actual cinnamon rolls, and it's really, really good. I feel like with a lot of my recipes, the normal recipes that I make to make it like fall themed, I can just make it pumpkin flavored, and that makes it easy. Yeah, so to roll it out, I highly recommend getting like a rolling pin and then a little rubber mat like this. But if you don't have that, you could just use like a wine bottle or a glass or something, but this makes it a lot easier. So just roll it out and then you pour the filling kind of over it like this. So kind of just use a spoon to do that, and then you're gonna roll it all together and then basically just cut it into 5 cinnamon rolls. You could wet the knife to make it a bit easier so it doesn't stick to the batter, but yeah, try to make them as even as possible. They're nice and like cute and pumpkin-y. You could also add like pumpkin sprinkles or something if you want, just to make it even cuter. But yeah, this mini cast iron skillet, use like a 6'1" or 6.5 inch. Again, that's linked in my Amazon store, which is linked in the description. That's like the easiest place to get it. I've gone through so many of these cast iron skillets. I feel like I don't clean them very well. Like you're not supposed to clean them with like soap or whatever, but I don't take very good care of my appliances, if I'm being honest. Like my air fryer is always dirty, but maybe I didn't really have to say that out loud. But honestly, these taste really, really good and sweet even without the drizzle. But again, for the drizzle, I use like the powdered monk fruit plus water, and it's 0 calories. Honestly, like this was more for just like the visual effect. You don't necessarily need to add this. But again, you could also do like a cream cheese frosting. Obviously, it's going to be higher in protein, but also higher in calories, but kind of gives it a similar effect. So yeah, this is definitely on a bit of the higher side, well, compared to the other recipes in this video. But again, you can make it a bit better in terms of macros by doing less butter if you want, but it's still pretty good. And the entire recipe, 700 calories, but you probably wouldn't eat the entire recipe in one sitting, honestly, but so buttery and delish. Now we've got this pumpkin loaf or pumpkin bread. So this one turned out really sweet and moist and delicious, more of like a dessert loaf rather than a bread. But yeah, basically mix everything together in one bowl. Honestly, super easy. I like to mix the dry ingredients first to prevent clumping and then add the wet, but then sometimes I forget. Yeah, we're adding a lot of pure pumpkin to this. That's what makes it really moist. And then honestly, you could just use like a spoon to mix it all together. But if you have one of those like electric mixers, that does make it easier because there's a lot to just like mix together. But I use one of these like little spatula spoon thingies, and it just happened to be orange. So I like to add chocolate chips. Honestly, this recipe is sweet without it, but I think the chocolate chips add a nice touch. Or you can also add, again, like cream cheese frosting. This was like, I think 6 by 9 inches, this loaf pan, but you can kind of use whatever you have. And then just make sure to spread it evenly. It does take a while to bake. Like it takes like an hour. So just make sure you have an hour to spare. And then when you take it out, just put a fork in the middle and make sure it comes out clean or like mostly clean. It is going to be important. Oh, I do like to put some chocolate chips on the top as well as in the middle. It just makes it a lot better. Make sure to let it cool fully though, because if you don't, when you cut it, it's still gonna kind of look raw, like even when a fork comes out clean. So just make sure it's fully cooled and then you're good to go. I sliced it into 8. You could honestly do like 9, or you could do like smaller ones, whatever. Honestly, I probably should have let this cool a little bit more, but I think I was on a time crunch. This looks so good though and moist. I did put a little bit of the monk fruit on top, but yeah, it's just like really, really moist and sweet. I was expecting it to turn more like a bread, but honestly, I love the way that it turned out, especially with the chocolate chips. You can also do like chocolate chunks or whatever. For storing, again, recommend putting in the fridge, and then you can just kind of microwave it or put it in the air fryer. It would also pair really well with like some light margarine, maybe some peanut butter. By the way, I love these towel things, like the pumpkin towels. I got them from HomeSense, which unfortunately it's like a Canadian store and they don't have an online store, but I feel like Home Goods in the US probably has lots of similar things and way more stuff. So last up, we've got pumpkin cheesecake bites. So these have 80 calories each. They're so macro friendly, and they have a graham cracker crust. Obviously, you're not going too crazy on the crust. It's like a light one because you want to keep the calories low, but you absolutely need a graham cracker crust with cheesecake bites. So basically, you're going to bake the graham cracker crust first. By the way, you're going to use your fingers to kind of like tap it out lightly there, and you're going to bake the crust first. And then we're going to prepare the cheesecake filling. So for the cheesecake filling, you're going to add everything into a bowl, but then you're going to also use like an electric mixer to mix everything together because it just makes it easier with the cream cheese. If you don't use an electric mixer, it's just going to be a bit clumpy. Like you could use just a fork. I guess if you like soften the cream cheese, I just feel like it's not going to turn out as well. But by the way, guys, if you don't have pumpkin pie spice, you could just use a combination of nutmeg, ginger, and cinnamon. But I got this at just like my local grocery store. They had it, which was great. It's perfect for fall. I've been using it in all these recipes. But yeah, it might look a bit like I thought it was supposed to be thicker and I was a bit concerned, but it ends up being totally fine. So it's nice and orange, which is good. And then you're just gonna fill them out as evenly as possible here. Make sure if you can use cupcake liners, whatever, but I just sprayed it with cooking spray. After you take them out of the oven, make sure to let them cool and then put them in the fridge for 2 to 3 hours so they can set. This is super important, guys. You don't want to just like eat it warm. It'll taste gross. And then again, I added some of that powdered monk fruit glaze on top. Honestly, guys, this is mostly just for like the presentation, but you really don't have to add it. Like you could, but it's already really sweet without it. And then I added a bit of the cinnamon or like pumpkin pie. I'm not sure if I added the cinnamon or the pumpkin pie spice on top. I honestly forget, but you can kind of add whatever there. Again, you could also do some sort of other topping if you want. I can't really think of what you do. Oh yeah, what I was considering doing is like a little white chocolate drizzle, but again, that would just add more calories. So it's totally up to you. These are already very low in calories and they turned out so well. These turned out better than I expected. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed these recipes, then I'm sure you're looking for more baked goods. So I'll link another video here that you should watch next. And please be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends as it really helps the channel and I post new videos every week. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.